podcast. Today it's just Harrison and myself. We will be talking about a lot of basketball. No baseball because Sam is not here to give us his top five. We'll leave that for him when he returns. And let's just get into a ton of basketball. While we left off last, all the series were actually still going. They have all concluded at this point in time. And it's not necessarily good for some teams, and for some teams, great. More specifically, to talk about the game that concluded last night, which would be the T-Wolves.
Oh, we're starting with that one?
Oh, we're definitely starting with that one.
All right.
The T-Wolves ending the run of the defending champs, Denver Nuggets. We talked about this on this podcast and said if the T-Wolves were able to take the series, that this may be it. Edwards might have already arrived. I'm here to say he has arrived and has stamped who the hell he is at this point in time, and I really don't give a damn what anybody says about it otherwise. He has absolutely come into this and just destroyed. Now, last night's game, he only scored 16 points.
Yep.
Didn't really do it on the offensive end, but defensively, he absolutely did. Now, I know he said it after the game that he locked down Jamal Murray, but I looked at the stats. Jamal Murray had 35 points, so I'm not quite sure how you lock somebody down that has 35 points.
In the second half, he locked them a little bit.
Yeah, but for the most part, no. But I guess it
For the most part, no, yes.
Yeah, I guess when it counted, it mattered the most. But the T-Wolves did something that no team has ever done in Game 7 history, and that was come back from being down 20 points, Harrison. T-Wolves outscored the Nuggets 60-37 in the second half while completing a 30-point swing.
It's pretty good.
I would say so. I mean, it's against the defending champs that did not look like themselves in the series. And a point that I'm so glad that you said, and for those that don't know, I love Harrison. He is my brother. He's annoying as hell as well, too. And I hate giving him his flowers, but I'm going to give him his flowers every time he's right. He called out the GM who constructed the Nuggets. He constructed this T-Wolves team to basically beat the Nuggets. It's panned out. And now I'm hearing analysts say exactly what you have said. So you've said it before them. So
I accept those flowers. Thank you.
You should. What's your thoughts of this game? I know I gave some stuff. We'll get into a little bit more, but what was your thoughts? I know we were texting throughout the game last evening, but what did you feel about this series and the game last night?
Well, I thought it was another tremendous series. We've had some really, really good ones so far this playoffs. I picked the T-Wolves to win, and I after the first two where they beat the Nuggets at home, I thought it would be quicker. But obviously the Nuggets kind of showed their championship medal. And obviously, they were going to come and play. Jokic had one of the all-time greatest games in that Game 5, made Gobert look pretty stupid. But the T-Wolves were, able to really blow them out in Game 6. And then it really wasn't looking good for them in that first half. So I'm not quite sure how they turned it around. I watched it with my own eyes, but it didn't seem like a flurry. It just seemed like they slowly chipped away. And then out of nowhere, they're up. And then out of nowhere, Naz Reid comes in. And then out of nowhere, they're up 9, and it's basically over. So the Nuggets have to be pretty stunned with that result last night, as they controlled most of the game, obviously the second half or the first half. But the Timberwolves just did it. And it was so impressive. And they're my championship favorite right now.
Same.
As they have been. Yeah.
Same. I mean, we didn't want to get ahead of ourselves when they went up 2-0. We pumped the brakes, as I said last episode. But yet still, I didn't waver. You didn't waver. I don't think Sam did as well. I think we all had the Timberwolves winning this. They just look too dominant at this point in time. And I know this is going to be a good series against the Mavericks that we'll talk about shortly. It's going to be a really, really good series. But I still believe that being that they're the number one defensive team and they're still left in this, I think that says a lot. And having one of the key stars now in the league, being able to do what he has to do. Also, they won't have to worry about a Jokic.
Correct.
So that means the Rudy Gobert's and Cats won't get abused by a Jokic because there's no Jokic on the court. And I do want to give love to Rudy because he showed out in
He
like the fourth
did.
quarter. Like that fadeaway shot that he hit, I was just like, wait,
He did.
is that Rudy? Like,
Yeah, I
so
mean the big difference with him and he was really good in this game 7 was, you're not going to stop Jokic, but you
no,
need to make him work a little bit somehow. And obviously in game 5 he didn't do any of that. And it's like,
no,
why are you on the court? Like I get Jokic is going to score as much as he kind of wants to score. But if you're on
absolutely,
the court, you have to make something uncomfortable for him. And the way that Gobert attacked the offensive glass, he, a fadeaway jumper, obviously that's not going to happen very often, but
no,
just putting some pressure on him. He had the ball a lot in the first half, which I didn't love, but it made Jokic work. And by the end of that game, Jokic looked very, very tired. And him
absolutely.
attacking the offensive glass along with Cat, along with Naz Reid, definitely wore the Nuggets down.
I enjoyed when we were talking about it. We were concerned about Cat, as you mentioned very clearly, and I definitely agreed with. But him being on the bench and having Naz Reid
Yeah,
being thrown at Jokic, that was great. And then Cat actually played. I mean, he he still did his infuriating things that he literally did stupid things on one end and then came down and caught that putback dunk, which we were just like, oh, okay,
it's
like
just the epitome of Cat. Just throw it away on the
pretty much.
baseline in one possession, and then catch a putback dunk on the next possession. It's like, why do you have to be this way?
Because that's just who he is, and unfortunately, it's just what we have to
Yeah,
watch because this is what he is. It it was disappointing to see. Like I enjoyed the comeback, right? But I kind of wanted to go down to like the last shot, almost
sure.
like just the feeling of how these two teams fought and whatnot. But
The series didn't have that at all.
no,
It
no,
was such an odd series. So the
it
way that it
was
shook out. So yeah, it just didn't have
honestly,
that moment.
honestly, and even in the last moments of the game, the last few minutes, you could tell when the Nuggets kind of knew like
Yeah,
it was over.
yeah.
Like even with them trying, like they didn't stop, but you could just tell like they were just getting punched in the gut, and they just were gasping for air at that point in time.
It
Like
was
it just was
really
not working.
that Ant Edwards 3-pointer in the corner was the kill shot. That was like the moment where you're like, oh, this is not really a game winner, but it put them away for sure. And I just want to give credit to Ant. Like 6 for 24 is not good.
No,
If they lose this game, the narrative is not. It's completely different, obviously.
Mhm.
But there are question marks. Obviously, he does have to live with those question marks of, he didn't really perform that great. But I love that he never kind of got down on himself, or it never looked like he was shaken by it. Like he just
yeah,
kind of took everything in stride. Like famously, Kobe had exactly a 6 for 24 game in the finals, and he was derided. Was a Western Conference Finals, and he was derided for a whole summer, and that fueled him further. But in this game, you really couldn't tell that that Ant was 6 for 24. He didn't look like
no,
it. He was
no,
still impacting the game in so many other ways. Just so remarkable for a 22-year-old to be able to. Obviously, the shots aren't falling, and you're not getting the foul calls that you want. But he kept going, and he kept pushing. And he never looked down on himself, and I think the team fed off that, and they marched to his drum.
he's clearly the vocal leader of that team.
Yeah,
It's they clearly follow his lead, and the fact that he was mic'd up for this game.
yeah,
On top of
yeah.
that, I know there's a lot that they could not put on TV. You can definitely just go and watch the clips on
Yeah.
your own and see
We could
what
do
I'm
some lip
referring
reading
to.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's a couple things that he did, and you could not be on TV. But
Yeah.
just hearing him talk to his teammates, like just shoot, like I'm like don't care, like you catch it, shoot, like that type
Yeah.
of mentality of never, as you said, never getting down. That bodes well for your team to see that your star player is not giving up. It doesn't matter if he's having a bad game or not. He's like, no, we're just going to keep working
Yeah.
and we're just going to keep doing what we got to do. And to your point earlier, they just chipped away and away and away and away. I'm not concerned about the Nuggets, just to touch on them a little briefly before we move on. I'm not really concerned about them at all because I know they'll be back in the top tier. They're built for a long time. They're basically built until Jokic says, I'm just done and I just want to worry about my horses. But until then, I think they're fine. I mean, they're a very injury prone team, though.
I think
In my opinion,
just Jamal really.
Jamal, but I mean Porter too.
Yeah, he's been healthy
Porter
for the
too.
most part since
He has,
his back injury in college was concerning.
which was very interesting.
I'm more concerned with him, averaging like single digit points.
Who, Jamal or Porter?
Porter.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't great. You can
No,
definitely tell that not having Bruce Brown hurt them this year too,
100%.
and Uncle Jeff Green, for those that don't know, like just having that extra height, that extra versatility, that definitely hurt them this year.
Very much.
And that's what happens to championship teams. You lose some key pieces because you can't pay them, and those guys do well. Other teams want to pay them. They want to get their money, and nobody can blame them for that. It just really is. It definitely showed. But they honestly, if they never ran into the Timberwolves and the Timberwolves didn't like have the team that we thought could be in like 2 years happen now, they 100% could have been back in the Western Conference Finals and then in the NBA Finals. But I think they just ran into a team that budded extremely early.
100%.
Great.
It's super weird that we got these teams matching up in the second round. Like, it took the Nuggets losing game 82 to the Spurs in a crazy performance by Wembanyama for them to even be in this situation, because otherwise their road is much different. And we probably don't get this matchup till the Western Conference Finals. And I'm the same with you. I'm not too concerned about the Nuggets. They probably just need to plug in some veteran pieces to help with that versatility. You are 100% right. Like missing Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, those are huge losses and things that hurt their depth all year long, and why they're kind of to that point where they got tired, and they didn't have enough gas in the tank. And I don't know if they would have had enough gas in the tank next round either, because they had to play all 82 games to try to lock up that one seed.
I know it's a theme of injuries this time of year, and I feel like every year when at least on the podcast or amongst friends and we talk about it, it's like, oh wow, the injuries, and it's just this time of year, right? I think it's just amplified because it's limited teams and we see that or whatnot. But this next series was a key factor to that, or seeing what has impacted the series, and I want to. The Pacers absolutely played their asses off against the Knicks.
They did.
The Knicks did not have a lot of key pieces, to be fair.
They did not.
But you play with what you have, right? Yep. And that's it at the end of the day. Pacers have shot a crazy percentage. I can't even see it right now because my computer's loading. It was what, 76?
67%.
67 in the whole game, but in the first half they were 76.1.
76%. Right? Yeah, 76.3.
Yeah. So just being able to shoot like that in the Garden, where the Knicks have the ultimate home court advantage, to come in there and basically say we don't give a damn, and it's if you're a historian of basketball and you watch it, it's just something with the Pacers about coming and playing the Knicks that they don't give a damn that they're playing the Knicks, and just like, we don't care where we're playing you. I don't care if it was Reggie Miller to now Halliburton. It's just they don't care. The way that Halliburton played in this game is like, oh, so you still play like this? Cool. So you're still the guy that started off the season hot and could shoot lights out. Oh, you're back again. It was good to see that. Miles Turner, absolutely, he was balling out. He was annoying me throughout the game. I will be completely honest, because there were some like easy layups that I'm just sitting there just like, or easy putbacks. I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
He's very similar to Cat.
What? Yeah, very much so. That's a perfect comparison.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Siakam
was awesome.
Oh my God. He showed that, hey, listen, he said it in the post-game press conference or post-game interview on the court. He said, essentially I just told the team what to expect, what to follow. I mean, he has a ring. He knows what it takes. He knows that this young team hasn't been there, and he was able to, hey, follow my lead. just watch what I do and let's do this together. And I couldn't even imagine it. I think the person that really, really needs to get so much respect in this series is TJ McConnell.
Okay. I was hoping you were going to say him.
Absolutely needs to get he needs to get all of the flowers for what he did. He was disrupting Jalen Brunson throughout the whole series, was in his face every second, annoyed him every second. You could tell it was annoying Jalen Brunson, at least to me, I could tell. But just the way that he played his defense is just that grit. And I, again, looking at the Sixers, because I know you're like an honorary Sixers fan, it's another player that the Sixers let go, and he was loved there and could have been another guy that they could have used and helped. Like, those are the type of guys, him, Bruce Browns of the world, and so on and so forth. Those are the type of guys that you pay the money to keep them there because the team's going to love them, the fans are going to love them because of the way that they play, and they can absolutely get under the skin of somebody on the opposite end of the team, or the other team that you're facing. Can't speak, apparently. What is your thoughts on just like the Pacers first before we get into the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, we said it early. Obviously, it was kind of their vaunted offense versus the Knicks defense, and their offense showed out. Offense won, as it usually does. Good offense beats good defense all day. The Knicks, obviously, it wasn't good defense yesterday. They looked a step slow everywhere on the court, and it bit them. And, there was one stretch in the beginning where it was like OG is like hobbling up the court. He's obviously shouldn't have been playing. Well, he gave him some early minutes, but he's not going to be a factor. Dante got knocked in the back. He's stretching out his back. Hartenstein's ankle, Josh Hart's abdomen. It was just it just all came to roost at the end there for the Knicks, where it's like, this is just what it's going to be. I knew they were going to run out of gas. I didn't know when.
Yeah.
But it was obviously yesterday. But give the Pacers a lot of credit. Like, you come into that building, you shoot that percentage, you hit your shots, and you put the pressure on them, and the Knicks could never quite recover from that. So just a phenomenal offensive series from them. Defense wasn't awful either. Obviously, you got TJ on Jalen Brunson, and Siakam was doing some good things on defense. So, I can't wait to give my prediction for the next round because it might be surprising.
I'm definitely I'm intrigued. It's with DiVincenzo even being like with the back situation, he still dropped 39 yesterday.
Oh, he's been awesome.
He's molded himself into being one of the best shooters. He was with the Warriors at one point, right? Was it the Warriors that he's with, right?
Yes.
So I would go and guess to say that he probably picked up a little something from Steph and watching him and his routine and picking it up, because I don't remember him shooting lights out like this ever. I do want to give him credit for doing the work that he was able to do, you know what I mean, and be able to continue to go from there.
Yeah, he's a big game player. His form is solid, but he gets up for the moment, and he's a playoff type player, rotation player, and he's going to be awesome for them going forward.
I agree. It's unfortunate that Jalen Brunson fractured his hand. The play that they believe it was when he hit his hand on whose knee was that? Was it Halliburton?
It was Halliburton. Yep.
Right, Halliburton knee. That didn't look great, as you mentioned earlier. OG came out. He came out shooting. I will give him all the credit in the world. He said, "I don't really got much, but I'm going to shoot." And then they took him out in 4 minutes. And
he couldn't run at all. Like, it was a lot of times where Knicks would be on the fast break, and you're like, "Where's OG?" And he's like, just still down on the other end, just waiting for defense.
The Pacers did what they were supposed to do with that. They went right at him. As you should go at the person. And it's just you're trying to win and get to the next level. And it's unfortunate that the Knicks literally lost so many key players. Like, this would have been, in my honest opinion, as I said to you guys before this series even started, and when the playoffs started, I said if the Knicks don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, this is a big missed opportunity. And they didn't. They fall flat. Obviously, it's no fault of their own. Nobody expects their teammates to be injured or go down with freak injuries and so on and so forth. It just happens. But I know we talked about Tibbs and his previous history of like running players into the ground, and honestly, I do want to give him a fair shake in this situation. Is like, what did we expect him to do? Like, we can play bench players, but those bench players are playing against starters, and it's
Yeah.
not really going to be as effective. Like, yes, it can give some of the premier starters some time to rest, but just think about it. The only starter that was officially on the court, like, and I mean, like, from the beginning of the season starter, was Jalen Brunson. Everybody else was a bench player. And they turned into starters, obviously due to injuries. But I mean, I'm sure it sucks again for Knicks fans. I don't really care. I'm just being, I'm just, I'm, I'm going to miss the atmosphere of what the Garden is. Like, I will never disrespect that. It's the mecca of basketball. It's New York. The energy is so different, but I can also rest my mind and my ears from hearing, and my eyes, I should say, from seeing all the shit on Instagram and hearing all the stuff nonstop and so on and so forth. To the Knicks fans that are complaining and crying and talking about the injuries, you thought I was just going to be nice this whole time. I was not. Just waiting for the opportunity. For the Knicks that are crying about all of this, Knicks fans crying about all the injuries and whatnot, and if we had this and that, we could have did that. I remember when y'all talk shit about the Nets when they lost James Harden and when they lost Kyrie, and y'all talked all that. Same, doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel good, right? When the shoe's on the other foot. Sucks to suck. Anyway,
Knicks fans are a lot, and they're always going to be just over the line, like
a little bit.
But that's what makes it. That's what makes it great. That's what makes it great.
It does.
But
it's unmatched.
Yeah, I'll cut Tibbs a little slack. I mean, last week I said, if throughout the season, if you play Alec Burks a little bit more, if you play Prestice Achiuwa a few of these minutes, maybe some of these injuries down the line don't happen. But a lot of these injuries were not kind of muscle wear and tear injuries, just like broken foot.
Yes.
Or, broken, like that's just the rub of the green. And it was unfortunate for them. I think, find another wing, find maybe a big. I think you stick it out with Randall for another year. Man, I think you're right back in the mix.
Yeah, I think you absolutely just run it back with the same team that you have. To see what it's really like before you even make any moves. Because, again, I 100% feel that they could have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do believe next year is going to absolutely look different, depending on, what happens with Giannis and Dame, what the Celtics will be after, Jason Tatum gets his contract, because he's going to get his contract and get paid a good amount of money. There's just going to be a bunch of different. What will the Cavs be? Will the Spider be there or not? Which we'll talk about in a second. What will Orlando do? Will they take another jump up? Like, what? There's going to be a lot of things that I feel will be different, especially with free agency and draft. So I
feel for Brunson a little bit. I think USA has a wild card spot where they have one more spot to fill, and I would have liked to see him on that, but now with a broken hand, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
So I think next in line would be Kyrie.
I think that would be a great fit.
Yeah.
Just so I can play one of my favorite songs by Sheck West, which is called Kyrie. Anyway, so that's that. Mavs, speaking of a Maverick, the Mavs beat the Thunder.
They did.
And they won in 6 games. The young pups are still wet behind the ears. They still got some time to grow. This all happened with Luka not having his best playoffs still. Kyrie has been a phenomenal closer. And PJ Washington has literally been the best player on the Mavericks. If you haven't been paying attention, that was one of the best trades. I thought it was a great trade when they did it. It's paying major dividends for them at this point in time, and the way that he's been playing. But I'm not worried about the Thunder, because they were the 1 seed, but I feel that these young guys will be right back there next year and for years to come. Their young core is really, really good.
Yeah,
really, really good. I do have a question about them, but before we do that, what's your thoughts of this series briefly?
I think the Mavs just took away what the Thunder do so well. It was just a matchup problem. The Thunder like to score in the paint. They're not the best 3-point shooting team. They're decent, but their points in the paint are huge. And the Mavs were able to completely stifle that with their size and length. They're built so well. I really love the way the Mavs are built. Around, obviously the theme used to be, you get the big three, but in my opinion, I think if you get big two and then fill out around them with role players, it's just so much more effective. And that's what they did. They have long wings at every single position: small forward, power forward, Lively at the center spot. He's a perfect center for them. Athletic, can move around, can guard on the perimeter. So I just love the way the Mavs are built, and they pulled it out. So kudos to them.
Yeah, it's. I just remember last year, the media just absolutely scrutinizing the Mavs and with Kyrie and Luka saying like what they could have been and should have been. I mean, Kyrie was traded. They needed time to mesh. They needed time to build chemistry. They went out and got some pieces to fit in what they do. I mean, Jason Kidd has been a great head coach since he's been a head coach in multiple places that he's been at this point in time. So very, very excited to see what this is going to be with them.
I mean, the PJ Washington trade, like you said, it completely saved them. Like they don't win the series without him, obviously.
It definitely did. What do you think the Thunder are missing at this point?
A PJ Washington? No, I think someone of that type, power forward-ish, rangy, that can kind of go get a bucket down low so that you're not kind of relying on SGA for every single possession. I like Chet, but he's a kind of perimeter guy. He can get to the basket, but not as frequently. So maybe it's just Chet that kind of takes that next evolution and becomes that guy where he's, I think last couple games he was averaging like 13, 14. But if he can get to that 20-point mark where he's averaging that in the playoffs, maybe that's probably their guy. So they just got to stay the course. They have tons of draft picks. Just keep doing what they're doing. They'll be the cream of the crop in the West for a while.
He just needs to get in the lab with his favorite player of all time, that he is KD. He just needs to get in the lab with him and learn from him. KD is his guy, and KD loves the young kid, so he's
super talented. Yeah, if you could just up that average in the playoffs, which is his next step. This is his first go around in the playoffs. So yeah, to have them win a championship in year one, I don't know about. Well, obviously they didn't. So, but
he'll be all right.
Stepping stones. Right. It's all about stepping stones.
Absolutely. Speaking of stepping stones, I don't think the Celtics needed any stepping stones. They just stepped over the Cavs and absolutely obliterated them. The last two games are basically so pitiful in the series, as the Celtics absolutely destroyed the Cavs without having Donovan Mitchell, without having Allen. It was just bad for the Cavs in general. I mean, they weren't going to win the series anyway, but then to be down two of your biggest star players, it definitely wasn't great. And the Celtics did this without Porzingis. That's Porzingis. So very, very interesting.
I think people would have got that.
I hope so. Some might.
Porzingis.
First-time listeners maybe don't like basketball. Who knows? Anyway, the only thing that I really have to say about this is, or at least for the Celtics end, is they just always give up that one game, and it just has you looking like, why? Like, how? Like, you should be beating the piss out of this team right now, and you just are letting them walk all over you. Like, I just don't understand it. So that's just like my only gripe with them is they are always going to give up and have those head scratching games that you're just sitting there looking at them like, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be blowing these teams out at this point. So I mean that concerns me for sure. And then with the Cavs, I mean, would you say it's pretty much over and done with Donovan Mitchell at this point in time?
I think so. I think he'll not force his way out this summer, but politely tell them, I won't be re-signing with you next year.
Fair.
Yeah, every summer needs the one superstar. that's kind of doing that, and I think it's his time. I don't know where he ends up, but I think it's pretty much done there for him.
Well, everybody is essentially kind of pointing him to New York. I would gladly take him for the Nets. I know his team is the Knicks, but as you said before, it doesn't make sense for him to go to the Knicks with what they have already. It's just counterproductive, really. But he has some options, and he has some really good options of where he wants to go, and wherever he will go, he will absolutely upgrade that team for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see that. So enough on that.
Yeah, that series sucked.
Yeah, I watched maybe a half of a game. I was good on that one. I'll be watching more of obviously this game. This is our series is the Eastern Conference Finals, but outside of that, I was good on that. Speaking of Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers, Celtics. Just run through the games real quick. First game is tomorrow. When you hear this on the podcast or on DSPs, it will be today. So May 21st, 8 p.m. Then we have May 23rd, 8 p.m. And then we're in Indiana, which is I definitely did the wrong date for that one.
25th.
Thank you.
Every other day. Yeah.
Yep, 25th, 8:30, and then the 27th, 8 p.m. Who do you have winning this series?
I have the Pacers in 6.
Okay. I will look forward to you to tell me why you have the Pacers in 6.
I can't remember the last time the Celtics have had to play a meaningful basketball game. I think the Pacers are hot right now. I think they're gelling in the right way. I think their offense is super proficient, and I think their defense is rounding into form. And I just don't believe in the Celtics. They haven't been punched in the face. I want to see them get punched in the face. And I don't think they'll respond well if they do get punched in the face. So I'm going to go with Pacers. And I think they match up well with them. I think Siakam on Tatum is a solid matchup. Jaylen Brown is not. I don't know if they have an answer for that. But I like Halliburton on Drew is tough, but I think Halliburton can get off. And I like the Pacers bigs more than I like the Celtics bigs, especially without Porzingis.
Okay. I think you're absolutely out of your mind. I think the Celtics win in 6.
Okay. It's good to disagree.
It is. I don't believe in the Celtics, and I think that punch in the mouth is going to come in the finals because I think whoever they face out of the Mavs or out of the Timberwolves are absolutely going to punch them in the mouth over and over and over again. So I regardless of what happens with them in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I believe they will win, I do not believe that they will win in the NBA Finals because
we half agree. I don't think they're winning the finals either.
No,
and I just don't think they get. I think the Pacers are going to give them a good shot.
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, I don't think
we're up for some wacky shit.
We are, but the reason why I would give the Celtics the edge here is what the exact opposite of what happened to the Knicks. Outside of their injuries, I feel that even though they said they weren't underestimating the Pacers, I still felt like they were underestimating the Pacers. I felt like the whole world was doing that. And I feel like now that the Celtics are watching and like, okay, yeah, we're not going to let that happen to us type thing. I don't think they get caught off guard and watch it. But again, it's saying that and then stopping the players is a different thing. And as I just alluded to or stated a little while ago, the Celtics always have those games that they're just like, well, what are you doing? That's why I think they give up 2 in the series.
I don't think they have that dog in them.
I mean, that's fair. I won't push back too much. I really don't care if the Celtics are going to lose. I just know, regardless, that when they get into the finals, they're not winning. Period.
No one's picking the Pacers, but I am.
That's fair. That's not. I'm intrigued to see how this goes. If they get swept, good Lord, good luck to you on this podcast, Harrison. Western Conference Finals.
I've been wrong plenty of times before.
That's fair. So have I. Western Conference Finals, Mavs, Timberwolves. I know we'll be locked into every single game on this one. First game, May 22nd, 8:30. Second game, May 24th, 8:30. May 26th, 8 p.m., and then May 28th, 8:30 p.m. That's just to start off the 4 games. Obviously, if there's more, we'll update you guys from there. Who do you have winning this series?
I have the T-Wolves, but I'm not comfortable with it. I want them to win, but I'm very concerned with if they're able to scheme Gobert out of the game. It's just a completely different matchup. PJ Washington at the stretch 4, Luka on the wings. I don't know if they can play Gobert and Cat at the same time. So if they can't, do kind of some like ego stuff take over, and are you going to have to bench Gobert for a little bit? I don't know if this is the series for him, and I would be concerned about the choices the coaching staff has to make that could have ripple effects on the chemistry of the team. But otherwise, I think the T-Wolves are better if they can play all their guys and if they can continue to play this style. Luka's not the same person right now. He is very injured. Jaden McDaniels is going to give him trouble. Yes. Ant is a big guard. Kyrie's going to have trouble with Ant. And then even when you don't have Ant on him, you put Nickeil Alexander-Walker on Kyrie. That might slow him down a little bit too. So matchup-wise, I do like the T-Wolves better, just with the concern of will they be able to play the lineup that they want to play, or will the Mavs be able to dictate the series and how we're playing it because of their versatility at the 4 or 5 position.
So the part that's most intriguing to me is the Kyrie matchup, because I know Ant can lock people down, but there's a difference between locking a Jamal Murray down and a Kyrie Irving down, right? Yeah. Kyrie's just way too shifty. We've seen what he's done over the years. We've seen how he's been able to clutch up. And also, again, now the Timberwolves are facing a guy and a guard that has won an NBA championship, that shot a shot over one of the greatest shooters in the whole entire world that ever shoot a basketball, even though Steph's defense is not the greatest. But Kyrie has that experience. He's been there. He's been around some of the greatest basketball players ever. He is one of the greatest basketball players to ever hold the basketball as well, too. To do that, I really wish that Luka was 100% or close to even 85%.
He's got to be 60% right now.
He has to be. That's exactly what I'm feeling as well too. So it's really going to be that PJ Nas Reed matchup is going to be very intriguing to me in itself. Because I feel that that's going to sway the series too in watching that. So I'm with you. I'm going to T-Wolves as well too. I am confident because Ant is just an assassin, and I don't think he's going to do anything in his power. Even if he doesn't score the points himself, he's going to figure out a way to get his team to keep going. And that last game, I think, bodes well for them moving forward. But I think this is going to go 7. I honestly think this is going to go 7, and I think it's going to be very, very close. I think that close game, those close games that I wanted from the Nuggets and T-Wolves, I think we're going to get that in this series. But I do also believe that there's going to be some blowouts in this series too. I think there's going to be at least 2 games that are probably going to be blowouts in this series, but I think the rest of them will be close for the most part.
T-Wolves in 6. That's my official pick.
Fair. Okay. All I just know is I'm just going to definitely have some beer stocked up and ready for this one, because
it's going to be good.
100% am going to need that, because it's I don't care what's going on. If there's a game going on these days that I said, and you guys hit me up, unless we're watching the game together, I will not be responding to you at that time.
The Western series have been very good.
They have,
outside of Knicks Sixers and then Knicks Pacers. The East just hasn't had the same juice.
Nope, not at all. It feels like that time period of when the West was just absolutely dominant again. I don't really think they've really lost their dominance, if I'm going to be truthful, for a while. But you remember when there was that huge gap? Yeah. I
think the West is still dominant. I think the East caught up. I think the East was so many more injuries in the East this year that really just kind of screwed up that one side of the bracket. But the West has delivered.
They have, and I'm very, very happy. I just still hate these late night games, but I'm very glad that they're a little bit more manageable now at 8:30.
8:30 is manageable for you.
8:30 is manageable. The 10 o'clock or late, those shits were rough. Do you care, Harrison? I'm sure you do, so I'll say it in advance. New York Liberty becomes the first WNBA team to have 2 million plus in one game ticket revenue. The Caitlin Clark effect, because it was against the Fever.
Yep.
Do you care about this?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's awesome. It's showing the growth. I think I saw Breonna Stewart's press conference afterwards, and she couldn't have been more classy with the answer. Obviously, they know why this happened. It's because Caitlin Clark was in the building. But her saying it's about the growth overall of the league and the more eyeballs we get on the sport, just, whether it's Caitlin, but then they come and they see that we're a pretty damn good team too, which they are because they completely blew them out the water.
Yep.
I think that
twice now.
Yeah. I should have been at Saturday's game. I got tickets offered to me and we had graduation. It was just, I was very disappointed, but,
wow.
I'll be in LA. I'll be in LA this week. So they play the Sparks on Friday. So I'm going to try to go to that. So
you should.
See.
You get to see Cameron Brink too on top of that.
Yeah. Hopefully those ticket prices don't keep going up and up and up, but we'll make it happen.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I care a lot. It's awesome for the league. It's just the beginning. I
absolutely do care. I know the three of us are Liberty fans. So, I mean, we've been watching them for quite some time now at this point in time. I know I've been a huge fan of Sabrina, which made it so much easier to even watch because that's one of my favorite female college basketball players that transitioned to the NBA. To only get Stewie, which made it even better of getting her. It's just like, oh, okay, this is easily consumable for me at this point in time. I'll take this for sure. But again, the teams getting private jets now, chartered flights, teams getting this absolutely astronomical ticket sales, which, by the way, this was Caitlin Clark's first game ever in New York City.
That's very cool.
Her first game ever, and a record was broken. I mean, college, high school, period, whatever. Her first ever game in NYC. So pretty cool to see that. I know there's been some clips of people saying that she's out here just getting beat up on the court. They're treating her like the Pistons did Jordan and whatnot. It was like because of the screen that she ran into of Stewie. It was like, well, that was her fault that she didn't turn her head. She ran right into that.
That's
screen.
her teammates' fault for not calling the screen.
Also true too. Very, very true. But yeah, no, I'm very much so enjoying what's happening here, and we'll continue to watch this grow. Just all in all, it's been great.
It'll be good. It'll be some good watching in the summer. Obviously you get some down months with just baseball. No offense to baseball, but to have some basketball in the summer, we got the Olympics this year too. So
yes,
we're good.
I'm absolutely good with that. This is not on Do Your Care. I mean, I didn't put it on the list, but
I have one too.
Rangers Panthers start.
Let's go
on Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you care? I'm going to say yes because I know you do. But have you been watching?
I watch every game. It's basically why I haven't watched the Celtics. Like every game falls on Celtics games, which is awesome for me. I've been locked in. I'm on a group chat with my dad and his friends, so I've watched pretty much every single minute.
Game 7 was one of the most exciting. That third period was absolutely nuts, and I'm
six. They won it in 6.
There you go. Sorry, yes, the 6th. In the 6th game, but that third period, I'm texting Brendan, and Brendan and I were chatting about it, and obviously they went up early, and he was like, "Well, okay, let's see what happens." I was like, "Well, let's hold on. Yeah. It's not looking great." I literally turned my head for a second, and all of a sudden they scored. I was like, okay, they can start going. I was like, okay, and then Kreider absolutely started going ham, and I was like, okay, this is what I needed to see. How they went off in that third period was nuts. They scored. They ran off 5 in that period was that, or did they run a 4 in the third period?
4 because they were
4,
down
right?
3-1. Kreider scored 3, and then they got an empty netter.
There you go. That's right. So just really really fun.
Kreider first Ranger since Gretzky to have a hat trick in the playoffs in a period, and only Rangers to do it are Messier and Gretzky, and now Kreider. So he'll be in the rafters for the Rangers for sure.
I mean, as he should. He's been a beast this whole time there. So I will say
team
of
destiny.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
I have one. I have a Do You Care for you.
I'm sure I have an idea what it is.
It's Golf Corner.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Xander Schauffele wins his first major. Xander, X-Man. No, doesn't ring a bell. He beats Bryson DeChambeau. You know him?
I do.
Okay, beats him by 1, minus 21 to minus 20. Highest score in a major. Kentucky major. Scotty Scheffler gets arrested. Did you see that?
I did. That's why I thought your care was going to be that. Yeah,
no. The win. Yeah, that's just part of the weekend. It was
sure was
a very eventful golf weekend the number 1 golfer in the world getting arrested on Friday morning, just with a mugshot and everything.
Wild.
It was
just to give some context, Harrison hadn't seen it yet. I had immediately seen it, and I text Sam and Harrison. I was like, well, updating Do You Care? I do care.
I don't wake up that early. That's why.
Well, I was up, and I saw that. I was like, what is going on here? To hear that happened, and rest in peace to the gentleman that was struck by the shuttle as well, too. But
absolutely.
It just sounded like absolute chaos down there with everything that was going on. And I'm sure there will be more and more stories and conversations that come out of that. But yeah,
I think all charges got dropped today. And I think the police officer is now on leave, of course.
Okay.
Good old Louisville police.
Good. Well, I'm gonna tell you, when I saw Valhalla, I was like, wait, they have a golf course in Valhalla over here. And I was like, oh, and then I looked. I was like, that's not Valhalla, New York. Valhalla. Like, okay,
no,
cool.
That's Kentucky.
Yep.
So, all right, that was Golf Corner. I'll be back when it's the U.S. Open in a month.
That's fair. Shout out to Bryson DeChambeau for throwing the ball to the kid, and
that was cool.
The grown man down that ran away with it and was like, "Hey, give the ball back." I did see that, so
you're watching. You got clips.
I see things. I see things from all sports. Just know that I know what's going on. I know who won. I just don't know about certain people, and to the full extent. Even though this hurts me to say it before we get out of here, shout out to Man City for...
Oh, no, come on. Stop it.
Taking I'm Man U over here, but shout out to Man City for taking that. Arsenal, come on, man. You should have done better. We do have the FA Cup coming soon, and then we also have Champions League coming soon. So this final, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. And have Sam sitting there looking puzzled because he won't know anything we're talking about. So, on that note, this has been another episode of the Chasing Points podcast. We appreciate you all listening. Check us out on all major DSPs. We will be back next week. No, we won't actually be back next week.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day. We'll not be there for this, but so we'll be coming back the following week from there to see and speak to you guys about sports. So enjoy all the sports that are to come. And Harrison, you have anything to say before we get out of here?
No.
All right, so we're out of here. Go Yankees. Keep winning as you are the best team in the AL. Love y'all. Peace. Bye.